Welcome to Inside the Indians, your source for insider information on the Tribe. Stay with us as we bring you the latest about the players, managers, and people behind the scenes at Victory Field. Now here's your host, the longtime broadcast voice of the Indians, Howard Kellman.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Inside the Indians. On today's show, we'll talk to the skipper of the Tribe, Brian Esposito. We'll talk to hitting coach, Ryan Long, and infielder-outfielder Eric Wood. We'll be back with Espo on the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. Esposito, our first guest, the skipper of the Indians on Inside the Indians. And Espo, I got to congratulate you and the ball club. I mean, the last couple of games in Columbus, you had all kinds of changes each day, and you still pulled them out.
Yeah, it was just a matter of just weathering the storm, you know. One guy goes up, one guy comes up, and, you know, we do the best we can. It's the beauty of this game is that when somebody else has an opportunity at the next level, there's somebody else that's going to come in that guy's spot and try to do the best he can to show what he's capable of doing. So we had some pretty good performances. Some guys really came up and stood out. And then we've had some of our own guys really, you know, help put us on their back as well and carry us through some things.
And what was especially impressive, you didn't have your starting pitcher the last 3 days it got changed.
Yeah, and that's what it was. We got some pretty good help from Altoona below, so they've been doing a really good job with their guys down there and getting them prepared to be the next man up. They went out and they competed well. They pitched as best they could, and some good things happened for them.
Always talked about how challenging managing at the AAA level is because of what you're going through right now.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of turnover at times, sometimes more than you really would like to see. You know, a few call-ups here and there is one thing. We really had a tidal wave of moves come across us. Having a doubleheader in Cincinnati didn't really help a whole lot for our cause. We were just thankful that we were able to send those guys the reserves that they need in Pittsburgh to help them win games.
I know you love to tell a guy he's going to the big leagues, but when you're doing that, a guy's often coming here who's upset, and you often have guys, too, who didn't get the call, who felt they should have gotten the call.
Yeah, it's all about managing personalities. It's managing people. It's building relationship with guys to know where they are, where they feel comfortable giving you what's on their mind, so you can kind of get to the bottom of what we need to do to move things forward. Because at the end of the day, it's either you do or you don't. You know, you still have a job to do. You got to go out there and perform, no matter how you're feeling or what's going on. But we also understand, you know, the ups and downs of this game, and, you know, we try to put them in the best possible spot from a mental standpoint to go out and compete and do what they got to do.
That's so important. You mentioned the ups and downs. The game is so hard to play, hitting and pitching, so confidence levels are always wavering.
Yeah, finding ways to breed confidence is key in this game, is to get a guy and find out where he is and try to boost his morale, boost the confidence. And a lot of times when you have guys that are playing with some confidence, the performance usually isn't too far behind where their confidence is. It could also go the other way, where a guy's confidence is down, especially guys that either get sent down or they get overlooked and another guy goes up instead of them. That can make their confidence waver a little bit and bleed into the performance. So it's just a matter of just, you know, handling these matters, you know, as a professional, and do the best you can to get the confidence where you need it.
We're more than a quarter of the way into the season. Give us your overall feelings on the way things have come.
Well, I'm just glad I know who we have on our team, you know, going into today's game. You know, again, we're just going to continue to weather the storm. Our Major League club is the most important team at the moment. Whatever we have to do to help them out, we're going to do. And that at sometimes sets us back a little bit, but it also, like I said, it helps us find some diamonds in the rough of some guys that are going to come up and potentially help us for the rest of the year. So I think we're in a really good spot right now. Guys are going out and guys are competing. All we need is 9 guys that want to go out and play hard, and we'll be all right.
Do you pay much attention to the standings?
Not really. Standings are an indication of what you did yesterday. We need to worry about what we need to take care of today, and if we do that, we'll be in a really good spot.
Tell us about your coaches. You have a new pitching coach this year, Brian Hickerson.
Yeah, Hick's done a really good job with these guys. He's had some of these guys in the past in Altoona. He's brought them up here. You know, he's no nonsense. He's all about business. He's all about competing, which is really good for our guys, because that's what this game takes. You know, the X's and the O's, the deliveries, the attack plans, all this kind of stuff. But then when it boils down to having confidence on the mound and just being able to attack guys with that tenacity and that mindset. So he brings that to the table, which is really good.
And John Schwinn's the new coach for you too.
Yeah, Schwinny's getting his feet wet coaching this year. I had spent some time with Schwinny a couple years back as he was rehabbing through an injury, and I kind of ran him through coaching 101 as a base coach. He was across the field as a first base coach, but now he gets the duties over here at third. So he's developing well. He's coming along, and he's going to experience the things he needs to experience that are going to help him become a better coach. So both are tremendous helps. Both are huge assets to what we do, and they make my job a hell of a lot easier.
I think, as you said, I think John has really improved over there at third base. And whether you're playing or coaching, the one thing you always remember, what's the situation, what's the score? That means everything.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on in this third base coach's box. You're doing more than just putting on signs. You essentially are the manager running that game once the ball is in play, and which is tougher, to my opinion, than actually managing it when you're not playing, because the game's not moving. You have time to think about these decisions. You have a split second to think about that decision in your mind, and then there are always things that happen that will change that decision within a split second. You got to either wave a guy home or send him, depending on what kind of things happen in the field. So he's doing a really good job over there.
I think you did an excellent job too when you were coaching third base, and I like the fact you said, you hear people saying, I want to be aggressive, and you're the one guy who said, let's be intelligent, and if the situation presents itself, then we'll be aggressive.
No doubt. You got to know all the things that could possibly happen in that situation. And then when you have that information and you process all the things that could happen, whether it be the arm strength of certain outfielders or the range of a certain outfielder or infielder, how many outs there are, what the scoreboard is, that will allow us to be aggressive. Once we roll through those intelligent information and process that the right way, then we can go ahead and be aggressive. If we find a weak link that we want to attack, yes, we will go ahead and we'll attack that weak link and be an err on the side of aggressive. And if we force them to make mistakes, then we're in a driver's seat for the series. So usually the first game of the series, we'll find out who we can push and who we can tug on, and we'll attack that link. Now, there might be a situation where we run into an out. However, we did put that team on red alert knowing that we will be there, and it'll open up the gates for the rest of the series.
And you mentioned running into an out. There was a game on the road trip. There were 2 outs. You got to wave a man in from trying to score with 2 outs. And he didn't. There's nothing wrong with being thrown out there.
No doubt. You want to force people to be perfect. You want to force a defender to be perfect. And when you do that, there are going to be times where they make those plays. The times that they do not make that play, whether it's an outfielder that lifts up a little too soon because they know that we're coming, they know that we're intelligent, but yet extremely aggressive, you force mistakes. And when a defense feels pressure, they have to be perfect. And as we know, when we try to be perfect at things, no matter what it is, whether it's playing ball or anything outside of baseball, it's hard to do, and you generally tend to make more mistakes than you would like to.
As always, Espo, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
My pleasure.
That's Brian Esposito, the manager of the Indians, on this, the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. Indians hitting coach, our guest on Inside the Indians. And Ryan, your guys have really swung the bats well this year. Let's get your comments on the way things have gone.
Yeah, I mean, we got some guys who are new to the league this year. Like you said, they've had some guys who got off some pretty decent starts. Some other guys still working through some things, and some guys that have joined us late that are also working through some stuff. But yeah, coming off a nice series or nice road trips offensively, and yeah, just hope to continue to build on the confidence, moving forward.
Let's first talk about a guy who was here for a couple of weeks and is tearing it up in the big leagues, and that's Bryan Reynolds. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, obviously very happy for him, what he's done up there and been able to contribute to our major league club, which is the main goal. Yeah, Reynolds, obviously a guy we liked that we got in the trade, and you can see why we liked him. Short, compact swing, mentality, grinds it out, comes to play every day, keeps an even kill. I think it helps him in the box, helps him at the plate. So he's done a nice job, and it's really nice to see him contributing up in Pittsburgh.
You mentioned a short, compact swing, which is a great thing to have for a hitter. If a guy's swing is long, do you try to change that and get him a little more compact?
Yeah, I mean, we try to foresee the future for him, so to speak. So, yeah, we're always trying to do things to kind of minimize movements. Sometimes you fight because guys think they get more strength and more power when they're big and long, and they may in some cases. But we're looking for the consistency of barrel And so that's what we try to, we sell them on that.
I would think, too, when a guy is struggling, and every hitter, no matter how good, has struggles, when he tries to do a little too much sometimes with the body, and the swing can get longer then, too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's that guys don't, sometimes don't know how to control their body, and they're still learning through some things. And in our case, we have some guys like that that are younger. They're still, working through that. But that definitely happens. Even older players, sometimes you'll get, a little excited in the count or what have you, and know something's coming, and you get a little big and long, like you said.
That's why it's so important for a hitter just to trust his hands and not try to do too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and everybody does it. We're human beings. It happens in the box a lot to guys. And like I said, you get excited, you get anxiety takes over, and we want to crush the ball and, hit it far, not hard. So we try to say hit it hard, not far, and just kind of let it take care of itself.
Tell us about Kevin Kramer. He's really swinging the bat well.
Yeah, Kramer's he's done a nice job this last month, settling in. I think he's gotten back to his rhythm and timing. I think that's what's really helped him. Simplified the approach, and so you've seen the strikeouts cut back just simply by, he's not really getting the 2 strike counts as much. He's doing some damage early in the count. He's more on time, ready to hit in those counts.
Ke'Bryan Hayes is leading the International League in doubles, the son of former big leaguer Charlie Hayes, a great defensive player. Tell us about him as a hitter.
Yeah, Key's another young guy. It's growing at the level. Like you said, leading the league in doubles, so he's got that line drive tool, which is awesome. So we continue to grow him on both his approach and just his bat-to-bat approach and the consistency of that on a daily basis.
We've just talked about Ke'Bryan Hayes, and we've talked about Kevin Kramer. Kevin's a college kid out of UCLA. Ke'Bryan signed out of high school. Is there a difference for you working with a player who signed out of high school as opposed to college?
Yeah, I mean, there's a different level of education. Yeah, there's going to be different things they may understand and may have been through than the other guy hasn't. So that's one of the cool things about coaching, and the longer you do it, obviously experience, it gives you that, but being able to adjust from player to player, and you got to really know who's in front of you, know your audience. So that's a lot of how you drive your verbiage and your message.
How much of your job is instilling confidence in hitters?
It's a big part of it. So that's the secret is, how do you do that? Is it just results oriented? Is it approach oriented? Is it work day oriented? The answer is probably all those things. So continue to steer them towards confidence is huge on a daily basis.
Sometimes just saying the right thing at the right time can make somebody feel good about himself and perform better.
Absolutely. I mean, I've gotten more results by telling a guy sometimes how good he is and just how you believe in him. It goes a long way a lot of times.
I think that's so important because it's so hard to hit. It's a very difficult thing to do. And I think more than any other thing in sports, confidence levels waver for hitters.
Yeah, I mean, it's hitting, it's tough. I tell them all the time, from the dugout, I'm hitting like 850, You get in the stands, you're hitting like, 900. It's really easy in the upper deck. So, yeah, it is. It's tough. Hitting's hard. It does waver. That's one of the daily battles. But trying to have these guys stick to approach, stick to a plan, I think that helps build confidence. And then how you work to get to that plan every day is one of the other things that will build confidence for us.
What about when you get a veteran player who has a history of hitting in the minor leagues like J.B. Shuck? What do you say to a guy like that?
Just let him drive it and ask him what do you need to be, what needs to be done for you? What can I do for you to keep you on track? So usually it's just little reminders. There's little things we work on, but no, those guys are also good to have just to lead by example and other guys to watch them go about their business.
Ted Williams said in his book, The Science of Hitting, the first thing is get a good pitch to hit. That's the number one thing. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. I mean, and what that means for you, so everybody's kind of got their own area they like to hit in and they're better at. So that's another daily challenge, and these guys will recognize where that is and how that meshes up with this particular pitcher you're facing tonight. At
all levels, more and more hitters are striking out. Do you believe hitters should have a special 2-strike approach and cut down on their swing?
Yeah, I mean, if need be, some good hitters, they don't need to change. They can have the same approach throughout the at bat. I mean, obviously, I think putting balls in play is, we've lost some value of that because there is some value in being able to put some balls in play versus taking the strikeout. But it kind of comes with the territory. I think more guys are swinging with a little bit more lift and uppercuts, so you're seeing some swing and miss early in the count or foul-offs that's leading to 2 strikes. And, if we're in 2-strike counts a lot, you're going to obviously see a lot more strikeouts.
Bill Buckner, who was a very good hitter, recently passed away. he just hated to strike out, and which a lot of guys did back then. And he won a batting title once. He struck out fewer than 20 times in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big, it's a belief. If you hate doing something, you're not gonna, you're probably gonna be more apt not to do it. So I mean, we don't like it, but we don't fear being with 2 strikes, but we don't want to strike out either. So it is a battle. It does make a difference, I think, on opposing pitchers, guys that can battle and foul pitches off. I don't think pitchers like that per se. So yeah, it's definitely, I think it's a lost art that I'd like to see the game get back to a little bit.
Ryan, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Howard.
That's Ryan Long on the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. Eric Wood, our next guest on Inside the Indians. And Eric, first thing about this ball club, it is loaded with talent.
Oh yeah, we're very solid top to bottom, and we've had a lot of guys step up and in roles that they're not used to, and have done very well. Obviously, a lot of guys have gotten in the big leagues and have done well as well. So it's a good time.
Speaking of stepping up, you are one of those guys who has stepped up and done a very good job, and you always have to be ready because you never know when you're called upon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whenever you get a chance to play, you have to try to make the most of it. So, I mean, that's as bench guys, that's kind of what our role is.
What do you do to prepare yourself on a day you're not playing, for instance?
You try to simulate, your reps in practice as game-like as possible. So you try to, have your BP not just fastballs, so you hit curveballs and changeups and try to simulate at-bats. So when you do have your at-bats, you're ready.
And then how about on a day when you are playing? Do you lessen your pregame workload?
Not so much. On days that I'm playing, I like to just keep it consistent. I know everyone's different and it changes. Sometimes day to day it changes on a hot day or whatever the circumstances are, but I try to stay consistent for the most part.
You've played the infield, you've played the outfield. How do you feel about each?
I mean, I love both. I came up as an infielder, so I do miss it because I've been playing more outfield now, but any chance to get on the field, I'm happy. So.
Well, you really increase your value when you can play both.
For sure. And that's kind of where baseball's going nowadays. You got a lot of guys who can play multiple positions, so I'm happy to be one of those guys.
Is the throwing much different for you in the infield as opposed to the outfield?
No, not necessarily. I think everyone's different, but I think that you throw how you throw, and you have to make it work wherever you go, and it's just as simple as that, I think.
Tell us about growing up in Canada and playing baseball. Did you have a baseball hero?
I mean, Derek Jeter was my baseball hero because I watched a lot of Blue Jays games and the Yankees were in the division, right? So, and I knew of Derek Jeter very well. Besides him, I mean, Larry Walker and Justin Morneau are guys that come to mind as Canadians that were heroes of mine for sure.
You know where Larry Walker played in 1989?
Oh, yeah, he was an Indian.
Yeah, that's right. Montreal was the parent club back then. But, you don't have the climate there that you have in, say, a southern state.
Yeah.
So what was it like, playing in that, you had to deal with the weather all the time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just can't play for as long, right? So, I mean, baseball's really grown in the last 10 years in Canada because there's a lot more availability for players with facilities now that are being built and run. So players now can train when it's cold outside, inside. So that's great to see. But I mean, it is more challenging when you're playing in the cold for sure.
Why do you think it's grown so much the last 10 years?
I mean, the Blue Jays obviously have a big thing to do with that. I think it has to do with, hockey used to be the dominant sport, but it's become very difficult to play because of ice time and availability. So, and money. So a lot of young kids have decided to play baseball instead. It's easier and it's growing. They really like it.
Tell us about your experience in 2016 playing for the World Baseball Classic.
I mean, that was the highlight of my career so far. I mean, it was so much fun. Being on the field with some of the best players in the world, it was exciting and it was a lot of fun. I was really happy to be able to be there and contribute, and it was just overall an amazing experience.
And you had, that's great to hear, and you had a hectic period there without a breather.
Yeah, you know, it was a good thing though. You know, I was able to, you know, stay on the ball. I never got rusty, and I was able to be hot at the right time. So that was a good thing for me.
Now I'm trying to remember, because it's a couple of years ago. Did you also play winter ball then too?
I played winter ball the year before, so say a month and a half before, right? So, you know, and we had spring training, so we were good. I was good to go. I didn't miss a beat that winter at all.
Great you feel that way, because you could say I'm getting a little tired mentally.
Well, yeah, sometimes that happens. I mean, it was a few years ago, and maybe I was a little bit tired the following season, but at the end of the day, I would never have changed it.
That's great. What's the difference for you now being in your third year here as opposed to when you first started?
I mean, experience. I've learned a lot, you know, being in AAA. And AAA is really, really good baseball. It's you see some amazing baseball players every day. So, you know, having some experience in this league definitely helps offensively as well. Deciding when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, those kinds of things. And yeah, experience helps a lot.
Well, Eric, I thank you and I congratulate you on all you've achieved.
Thanks, Howard.
That's Eric Wood on the home of the Indians, WHMB TV 40. Thanks to our guests, Brian Esposito, Ryan Long, and Eric Wood. See you next week on Inside the Indians.